What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and this is my hands-on review of the Energy Phone Pro. Now recently on the channel I've had lots of requests to review devices that are more suited for a budget. Now the Energy Phone Pro has some very nice specs and comes in at just €249. How does it perform overall? Well, let's find out in this full hands-on review. So starting off with the display, you've got a 5-inch IPS display with full HD resolution, so that's 1920 by 1080, and it works out to roughly 441 ppi pixel density. Now overall it's very bright, good viewing angles, but as with other IPS displays, sometimes it can seem a little bit washed out. So if you are coming from a Super AMOLED display, then you might find that the blacks aren't as deep, but overall a very nice screen. Now the size, design and build. The size is comparable to other 5-inch screen smartphones, although it is a little bit taller. Now just looking at this compared to something like the Samsung Galaxy S4, you can see that the width is roughly about the same, but it is a little bit taller. The device comes in at 140 grams and you've got a front frame and structure in aluminium, so it does feel quite solid, although you've got a smooth plastic at the back which is curved, so it does feel quite comfortable in the hand. Now performance wise, you've got an Octa-core 1.7 GHz ARM Cortex A7 processor with the Mali 450 GPU and 2 GB of RAM. Now doing a benchmark on Geekbench, you can see that a single core score is not so high, but because this device has 8 cores, the multi-score was pretty decent. Now performance wise overall, I found it to be very good, fast, smooth and snappy. I didn't really notice any major lag anywhere. Now I wouldn't say this device is as fast as some of the other flagships out there, but then again, you're not paying as much as some of the other flagships out there, so overall I was pretty happy with the performance. Now in terms of memory, you've got 16 GB of onboard storage, and this is not expandable and there's no other options available either, so the 16 GB version is the only version that you can buy. Now this gives you around about 13.5 GB of usable storage. I'm sure this will be fine for most people out there, but that's just something to bear in mind, that you can't expand this or you can't get a larger version. Now moving on to the cameras, so the rear-facing camera, you've got a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera that has a dual LED flash, and I found the results to be pretty good in good light. Colors were nice and you've got a decent amount of detail too. Low light was okay, and you do start seeing defects when you zoom in 100%, but overall not too bad. The autofocus speed and general usage speed of the camera was fine as well, not as fast as some of the devices out there, but I think it should be fine for most people. Now in terms of video, you've got 1080p recording from the rear-facing camera. Once again, pretty good overall. I did find that you had to touch the focus in order to get accurate autofocus, so I did find myself using that. Nothing major here. And in terms of the front-facing camera, you've got a 5 megapixel front-facing camera with a wide-angle lens. So this is good for group selfies. Quality-wise, I think it was pretty decent, and you do also have a front-facing flash. Now this is something that's not available on other devices. I've not found this on many of the devices myself, so that is something useful if you're in low light and you want to take a group selfie or something. Then you do have that option of using the flash. One downside of the front-facing camera is that it only films at 480p, so you don't have HD recording from the front-facing camera. I would have liked this to have 720p at least, but that's not here, and you are only limited to 480p. Now the operating system, you've got Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean. Now this is slightly customized, so it's not perfectly stock Android, but it's not hugely noticeable either. So generally speaking, the interface is very close to stock Android, but this does have to go through Energy System for your updates. Now they have said on their website that Android 4.4 KitKat will be available soon. How soon, I'm not sure. Now one unique thing about this device is that you've got dual micro SIM card support, so you can have 2 SIMs active at the same time. Now initially I thought having both SIMs in at the same time, you'd have to switch between the two, but that's actually not the case. You can actually have both active, and you have 2 reception bars at the top, and when you do make calls or send texts, you can choose which SIM you want to do that from. This is very useful, especially if you're roaming or something. You can have one home SIM as well as one local SIM and have them both active at the same time, which is very, very nice, and I'm sure will be very useful for a lot of people out there. Now one downside of this is that you only have 3G. This device only supports 3G, not 4G LTE. So no doubt this will be a deal breaker for some, but I know many people are still on 3G contracts and many markets don't actually support 4G LTE. So I do think it will depend on your personal requirements, and it should be fine for most people out there. Now this phone does come unlocked, so I would recommend going onto the website and cross-checking your GSM bands in your country just to make sure that this will work fine in your country. The website link will be in the description below. Now some additional features: you do have a notification LED at the front, but this is only available in 3 colors, so you have blue, green and red. You don't have multiple colors like other devices out there, something to bear in mind. The speaker on the device is okay, but it is a back facing speaker, so it's pretty much the same as any other back facing speaker out there. You can cover it at times, but it wasn't too bad overall. Now the battery, you've got a 2300 mAh battery, which is not removable. Now I was impressed with this overall. I did manage to get a full day on medium use with over 4 hours of on-screen time, which was pretty good. Now you may need a top up throughout the day if you are a heavy user, but most users should not have a problem getting through the day on the full charge. Now finally, looking at the price, this device, as I mentioned, is available for €249 from the Energy System website, which is pretty good for what you're getting, and that works out to roughly about £200 in the UK, or roughly about $330 in the US. Now I would definitely recommend you go ahead onto the website, check out your shipping costs and work out your exchange rate. Energy System do ship this out to most countries, so you should be able to get it from wherever you are. So there we have it, the Energy Phone Pro. Now overall, I have to say this is a very nice device. Now it's not as good as some of the other flagships out there, but then again, you're paying half the price of some of the other flagships out there. So any of the shortcomings are more than made up for by that price. Now one of the things you will have to bear in mind is that this device only supports 3G, not 4G LTE. Now, as I did mention, for some of you that might not be a problem because your market may not support 4G LTE and you may be on a 3G contract anyway. But then again, you do have the dual SIM card support as well, which is going to be useful for a lot of you out there, I know. What do you think of the Energy Phone Pro? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV. I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below. Okay, if you're still watching, then that means you've not done one of those things, so, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go downstairs. See. Okay. There isn't really a downstairs. Anyway, so yeah.